Hi everybody, I'm Richard Conway. Welcome back to AMP, the podcast that showcases age group multisport athletes. Welcome along to episode 16. So since the last podcast, which went down really well by the way, thank you for listening, which featured author of My Co-Workers Think I'm a Pro, Brock Gibbs. I've just finished the book, really entertaining. I recommend it for anybody into multisport, and you'll both relate to his story and also you'll laugh out loud while reading it. So yeah, have a look at that. Put it down as a Christmas present. We're back in lockdown, 2 weeks gone, 2 weeks to go, so no swimming, and I was just getting back into it as well. But we're still running and we're still biking. Swift's getting some hammer, so that's fine. Some good news, we found out from Age Group News on Instagram, who revealed to us that British Triathlon have released the Duathlon and Triathlon qualifying races for 2021. You can check that out over on their Instagram page, or go to the British Triathlon website and find out all the information for qualifying races for next year. And I've seen quite a few of you on social media have been putting out the emails that you've been getting from British Tri, showing us that you've qualified, so congratulations on that. I've got a couple through myself, one for the ETU Sprint Triathlon Championship, venue and date to be confirmed, and also the other one is for the World Multisport Championship over in Almere in Holland in September, where I'm looking to do the Sprint Duathlon, so really happy about that. So we've got a couple of goals to aim for next year, which is nice, and that nicely links to a post that I put up on Instagram regarding having a training diary, which is pretty old school I guess in these times with the likes of Strava, Training Peaks. But the thing I like about the diary is that it has a complete breakdown of your whole year. So from having a complete annual training plan at the front, where you can set out your goals for the full year, and it's got a table of 52 weeks. So you can work back from your A races, and then you can periodise that time frame. And it's just a good tool to be able to reflect back as you're going through the season, where you've come from, and if you're on track, and daily and weekly you can look at how things are going, and it's just got loads of information that you can put down, and again you can just reflect on it, and I just think it's a really good tool, so maybe worth having a look at. I don't know, I'm not sure, I don't use Training Peaks, so that could have the same format, only electronically, but yeah, I just prefer the hard copy and it's all there in one place, and physically writing down is quite satisfying. You never know, one of these days I might come into the modern world and use Training Peaks instead. So on to this episode's interview with Jamie Price, a young protege, and it was a great chat, very interesting, and I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you on the other side. Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for joining us here at AMP this evening.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, are you all right then? Where are you located at the moment?
So I train with the Cardiff setup,
right?
Welsh Triathlon, but
okay.
The team's called like NPTCW. So yeah, for pretty much full time in Cardiff at the moment, and sometimes in Bahrain. But my parents actually have moved from Bahrain now, so they're back in the UK as well.
Right, all right, okay. So that link's been ended, has it?
Yeah, effectively, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I've still got ties in Bahrain. There's still some really good like contacts to have out there.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll get to go back out there and train. But as far as like living wise, not living out there anymore.
Excellent. Well, you can tell us all about it then, how it came to be, and a bit about your sporting background. That would be great.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I started off. I started off with modern pentathlon when I was really young, because that's how my parents met. They were both on GB for pentathlon, which was good fun. So I grew up kind of like learning than modern pentathlon, because you can't really sort of access like a horse and a shooting range and fencing when you're in boarding school at GCSE level. So and then I ended up moving to Bahrain with them, and sort of the triathlon out there was awesome. Like, you had the Bahrain 13, so you had some big Donnies kind of coming through, like the Bahrain every now and then. I remember, like, Jean Fideno, he just rocked up to just like a local ride one time.
Really?
Sheikh had invited him out, which was mad. Like, and then you had Gomez. He was on the same ride as Jean. And you always have the 70.3 out there, and there's like I think it's called a crown, like King of the Crown race or something, where there's like 3 Ironmen, and if you win all 3 Arabic Ironmen, the winner gets a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
So there'd always be like big competition, so it was kind of like a lot of media around it and everything. So I was really keen to hop on and join them with that.
Yeah, and you got quite a lot of exposure to that then as a... How old were you at that point?
I must have been lower sixth form, so first year of A-levels.
Right.
That was when I started doing it.
So that would be 16, 17, 18?
Yeah, it must be 16, 17. So I think that was about that time where I became Bahrain national champ for sprint triathlon.
Yeah.
And then went and sort of raced all over the Middle East with Bahrain, which was an amazing experience. Like, we raced in Jordan. Was a weird race because I think Jordan borders a sketchy country or something, and we were running up and down. There was people with AKs like watching us go. It was great.
Run faster,
really
run faster.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to run faster, otherwise, like, Actually, there was a funny story. The Sheikh, who's basically the second in line to the throne in Bahrain, he's big into his triathlon. And I remember one of my first triathlons, I saw him come past me on his TT bike,
Right.
and he was drafting. He was drafting off a car, like this blacked out tinted kind of Land Rover.
Yeah.
Sorry.
With his bodyguards in.
yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't know that at the time. So I thought, if this guy's drafting, I'll just hop on his tail. Like,
Right.
Obviously nobody minds. If he can draft, why can't I draft? But that's when another car came up behind, beside me, and they rolled down their tinted windows, and there was just a guy, like the Jack guy, who was just shaking his head, like screaming at me in Arabic to like get off his wheel. I thought, oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
But, it was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Good fun out there, though.
Cool. So, going back to like growing up and doing a bit of modern pentathlon, when did that stop, and how serious did you get into the running and swimming? Because obviously that stood you in good stead going forward. What age did you start swimming, basically, and running?
So basically, I started. I think I was swimming before I could sort of like run and everything. So I think I went into competitive swimming when I must have been like 9 or 8 or so. Doing like trying to do regionals. So I don't know when. As soon as like I was eligible age-wise to go into counties and regionals, I went sort of to counties. I think I got to regionals once, but that was all. I never got to nationals on that side of it. And then running, I started running a little bit later, like maybe 12, 13. Maybe a little bit before, but I wasn't doing big miles, because like, if you do stupid miles when you're young, kind of thing, it's gonna mess you up when you're older. It's just I was doing enough to tick over and get some decent times. I think I was like a couple of seconds off nationals once when I was younger, but that's about as high as I got, really. It was good fun. I enjoyed just sort of doing those two sports, and then I got into development pathways with biathlons. So it's like which is you run and then you also swim and then you run again.
Yeah.
And then that was sort of the first like international races I went to, which was I think Dubai for World Championships for biathlon, which are really good.
And what age were you then?
That must have been maybe 13 or 14.
Right.
Was the first time I went to World Championships for that.
How long was it from there that you got into triathlon, and how did the bike fit in and come about?
So the bike was a bit weird. I mean, honestly, my first biking experience was on a mountain bike. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it was on a BMX bike. I really liked the way that a BMX bike looked, with a car boot tail. And then I ended up picking up for like a $5, and then doing it up and going and sort of racing, BMX like a little bit, nothing serious. my mum's mountain bike. It was the first bike I ever went out on.
Yeah.
And it literally would just cycle around the lanes and go explore and all. That must have been about like 15 or so.
Uh-huh.
And then the next sort of like step was I did a triathlon in the UK before the Middle East. But I did real bad, and I gave up with triathlon after that because cycling wasn't for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really when you got to Bahrain that you picked it up again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just enjoyed going out with the boys out there. Like my club was the British Triathlon Club in Bahrain. And they had quite a lot of triathletes, and they had really, really good like TT bikes, and that's pretty much what drew me in. I love the way that like TT bikes looked, and they would sort of go out on the weekend with they'd have their zip wheels out, and they'd have their like discs on, and I had I think it's called a Viking, the bike I had, which was it was like a Chinese brand that didn't really work so good, but it did the job,
Yeah.
And they sort of inspired me and helped me, because I remember the first ride I went on, I completely bonked, and I remember just being in the middle of the pack and somebody just holding my seat post, pretty much pushing me for the last 20k back. Yeah.
Excellent. So what was the progression from obviously joining the club? What was your first proper try over there, and how did you do it?
I think my first sort of proper try would have been the one against the Sheikh and quite a few of the local boys out there. I remember I came out of the water way in front, and then I got on the bike and just went completely to the back again. And then when it got to the run, I was hunting people down, and I think I can't quote where I came, but I'm pretty sure it would have been top 10 in it.
Okay.
But the bike, I literally went from first place just way back to last place. And then, yeah.
And what distance was that?
That would have been a sprint to begin with. Yeah, no, for sure. But it was cool out there because they had a really good progression way. Whereas as soon as you sort of got to the top level, they would encourage you to go abroad in the Middle East, so go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Kuwait and Qatar and race out there. And then sort of I remember I did one full Olympic when I was sort of in sixth form, and which was interesting because that was my first sort of higher level stuff. And I just remember I just didn't take any water and ended up on IV afterwards because I didn't fuel properly, and I didn't realise that in longer races you have to be on it, otherwise you just end up in a bad way.
Yeah, not good. So you did that first triathlon where you saw the Sheik, and you said that there's been a good platform and it helped you along. So how does that all work to get to go to the other states basically? How's it funded? Did you have to fund it yourself? Is it like over here, or when we've got to race everything's we've got to pay for ourselves? Is that the same thing, or did the club help out?
So it was different. A lot of it sort of I didn't really receive any national funding out there because I wasn't Bahraini. But they were good enough to let me race for them, which meant that I could enter sort of the lower level ITU stuff for Bahrain.
Yeah.
Which was great fun. But funding wise, it was mostly sort of self-funded. I did a lot of swim teaching out there because as soon as I got a bit of a name for a swimmer on the island, I'd teach a lot of kids sort of privately how to swim teach. And or how to swim even, and also the club out there, the Bahrain Triathlon Club, helped me out so much. As in, they sort of gave me free membership with them, as well as gave me a sort of small amount of money that I would use to go and travel and race with.
Yeah.
So they did so much to help me. It's pretty much just my dad's mates were sort of all the guys in the club, and they would sort of effectively just be using me as a bit of a charity case. I'd wear their kit and go race, but I was just a young kid. I don't really know what I was doing. I still don't, but I really enjoyed it. So
hey, nearly 53, and every day is a school day. So you're always learning.
Yeah, no, exactly. Honestly, it's important, because if you're not learning, then really you're doing something wrong. That's why there's a really cool thing I heard about where it's you don't winning's actually a really bad thing to happen because you never learn anything from that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time when you listen, you hear or you listen to what successful people have to say, they always say you've got to really enjoy the journey to that like to master that art is mad.
Do you ever master it?
Because
you watch even the professional. You watch even the professionals, and they always mess up. There's always something wrong, especially in transition, or they forget things in that moment, in that race, in the competition. Things don't go to plan, but they look back and they make sure they don't do that again.
Exactly. I mean, if it was predictable and if it was easy and everything like that, it'd be really boring. I don't think anybody would want any part of it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So you got quite a lot of coaching from the over in Bahrain then, and
definitely. My dad was sort of my dad's a Marine, and he was definitely my sort of main coach when I was out in Bahrain. And I definitely spent sort of all my time pretty much with him. I got all my information from him. He was a very good runner back, and he still is a very good runner. And he sort of would teach me a lot. Like, he would do all of our track sessions. So we'd have 2 track sessions a week. Although we'd have 1 track session a week, 1 fartlek and 1 long aerobic. I'd do all that with him, with a nice little group of runners. And then I would swim with my school, who had like a school swimming club. And then I would cycle with the Bahrain Tri Club sort of every weekend and during the week and stuff. Yeah. But it was good. It was a really nurturing environment. It's like quite a small island. Everybody knows everybody in the triathlon community out there. And it's just amazing. It's quite sad to sort of step away from it and like go towards the GB environment of things. But at the same time, it's a whole different kind of ball game with the GB lot. They're just
So you entered that through university then? You're at Cardiff, yeah?
No, definitely. So I joined the team or NPTCW, so it stands for National Performance Training Centre of Wales.
Right.
I think that's right. Yeah. But and they're awesome. So you've got like you've got Leeds and you've got Stirling, and you've got like all these universities who are quite heavily sort of structured towards triathlon. And like the Welsh tri team was quite a young team, but they really sort of like, because they're quite a young team in the sense of triathlon, they can actually like dedicate a lot of their coach time towards each athlete, which has proven like to be really, really useful, because like the amount that you learn in such a short period of time is amazing. Yeah. Like you pretty much like, they treat you like a full pro. As soon as you join uni, they provide you with all the training, they provide you with a schedule, they provide you with just everything. It's phenomenal.
So since you've been there, what's your structure been like?
It's been good, I mean, well, it's obviously everything's a bit weird at the moment.
Yeah.
Like with, But it was real cool. They understood that sort of at university sometimes you do go out and you do have fun, and they understand that like if you can't swim the next morning, you're not going to get absolutely laid into because of it. But it'll normally be like swimming like 5 days a week. You sort of that'll be early in the morning, and then you'll sort of ride most days if you can, long rides on Wednesdays and the weekend, and then you have a track session, and then you do your aerobic runs in a group if you want to, or by yourself, sort of thing. But everything's structured around your university course.
And do they give you an individual plan to work towards?
Yeah, no, definitely. So they'll give you a training piece account, and then you sort of you upload everything there that you need, and then you sort of work around it. As in, if you can't make some sessions, you let them know at the beginning of the week, and then you change it and you adapt it. And you always have a coach sort of that you will go to and talk to if you need to. And then, sorry, that's Ollie.
That's all right, no worries. Yeah, it's fine.
So they'll give you sort of everything that you need, kind of thing. Yeah. It's very well structured. It's stuff like after my first year, I was struggling with going from being coached from my parents to being coached by a proper setup.
Yeah.
And they understood that, so they had an intern come in called Martin, who coached me sort of one-to-one. So he really would understand, like, if my mindset was gone, he would understand that if I wasn't coping with sort of the coaching mechanisms that they were using, that he would adapt it, and it just managed to get me to a place I didn't think was possible. Yeah.
So what are you studying at university?
So I was studying product design.
Okay.
Which was interesting. Like, it was cool. It gives you a lot of freedom in that course. You can like design pretty much anything you want, manufacture it.
And what you're looking at? What you're targeting?
Was my design?
Yeah.
A few different things. So like we worked for an aerospace company. Like my favorite ones were you'd have like what's called a 24-hour project, where a company would come into university and they would say, here's a problem, can you design a solution for it?
Right.
So we helped design a sled for going to the North Pole to try and break the individual record for going to the North Pole. And it was awesome because like we sort of heavily got into like the aerodynamics, and I actually took the idea from zip wheels.
Yeah.
How they've got those little divots in them to increase laminar flow.
Yeah.
We took that idea and we said like, look, at the time of the season you're going to be traveling to the North Pole, you're going to be having like a wind coming from the northeast. So we're going to use these these dimples that we pretty much like borrowed from zip, and say like if we put these dimples in your in your sled, we can like decrease sort of your air resistance, and we can put them in a pattern that sort of like helps almost like sort of direct the air from the northeast directly over rather than sort of hitting the side of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's different. It's cool. It's cool sort of looking at like how bike companies do stuff and see how you can apply it elsewhere.
Yeah. Cool. Very good. So, do you get to use any of the physiology labs and things and get tested and stuff?
Absolutely. So it'll be like once a year you'll do a sub-maximal and maximal testing in the labs. So we've done sort of VO2 max on the bike as well as on the run. Then we've done like sub-maximal on the bike and the run. We do a lot of lactate work in the water. We'll do lactate relative to heart rate. So we have the sort of blips that you've got on your forehead, and you sort of swim. And it's pretty cool. On training camp, we had all of our blips like linked up to an iPad,
right.
So you could see everybody's heart rate, and then if your heart rate changed zones, the color of your heart rate would change to like red or amber or green. So if you weren't swimming hard enough, the coach could pull you up, or if you're swimming too hard. Normally, it's you swim too hard and you're overtraining, so they tell you to reel it back in, and all. But,
that's fantastic. Yeah. I bet even the professionals, some of the professionals don't even have that,
Well, it's really cool the way that sort of the Welsh setup works, is because normally you'll have it quite segregated, where you have the age group athletes sort of training separately to the pros. Whereas we have sort of I would consider myself to be an age group athlete, like, and I still trained with Adam Bowden, who's the like 70.3 record holder for like UK, and he's a phenomenal athlete. On top of that, like like multiple Commonwealth athletes. Like there was one point on training camp where I was the only one who wasn't Commonwealth, and like they're all just they put me under the table like every day of the week.
But that exposure and that experience is just going to stand you in so much good stead, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it's really cool just to learn everything, just try and soak up as much as you can, because these people are so knowledgeable with the way that they operate. Our head coach Luke, he is scary, I mean, he loves his charts and all, like, and I couldn't even start to understand what his coaching mechanisms.
Yeah, brilliant, really good. So that's answered that question about the coaching side. You're obviously well involved in that. So obviously being where you are, I mean, normally my question is, how did you get introduced to age group? Well, that's a given. Obviously, where you are has got you involved in that. And so, what was the process from where you are and getting involved in that? Like from a qualifying point of view, did they help you identify races that you needed to go and race? Did they already realise what events you were better at? Were you better at sprint? Were you better at an Olympic distance? You know what I mean? How did that come about?
Yeah, no, definitely. So after the initial testing side of things, they dictated that I'm a very anaerobic athlete. So my top end is real decent, but I can't hold it. I think the analogy that they used is like having the body of a Ferrari, but the engine of like a broken Toyota. So there's a lot of work to done on the engine, to build that up before getting up to being able to hold it. So the next logical step was short, fast stuff is what I'm good at. So sprint distance is sort of my forte in that sense. And they definitely sort of guided me towards. They said like, look, if you want to go world championships for I'll be honest, I came into the system of like GB not understanding at all how it works. You know, I think GB Triathlon, they've done a very good job of creating very logical pathways.
Yeah.
But if you come from outside of the system and then directly into the system, you get so lost, you get swallowed up. So they pointed out the sprint races to go to. I just went race as well as I could and managed to get a spot at Lausanne in like 2019, which was an awesome
Which race did you qualify at?
That it would have been. It must have been one of the ones up north. I couldn't tell you precisely the race, I'm afraid. No, but I think it was. I won my age group at English nationals.
Okay, yeah.
For age group, you know. And then I think overall I came third in that race.
Yeah.
But I think it was a non-drafting one, which is weird because I'm pretty sure Lausanne was drafting. So. Yeah.
Did you enjoy that experience, the non-drafting experience?
Oh, I'm a weak cyclist, so when it comes to non-drafting, it's just I just see TT bike after TT bike.
But surely you got out of the swim right ahead of everybody else, so you were in a good pack of cyclists, and it's about holding on then, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, yeah, no, for sure. Well, I mean, I remember I did one British Super Series race, and I've only really done a few of them because like I need to work on getting my credentials high enough to get regular starts, and I remember I came out the water in the front pack with all these like really big Donnies, like these pros, and I was like, oh my word, this is the best day of my life. Panicked so hard, I just couldn't get out my wetsuit in time. I ended up about 3 packs back from the front, and I was like, oh no. I mean, they're still trying to learn the art of holding a wheel is an amazing skill to learn.
Absolutely.
But, no,
it's all.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Karen.
No, I was just going to say it's exciting racing. I mean, that's my preferred choice actually. If I could go for drafting or none, it's always the drafting.
Oh, 100%. It's just exciting as well, and like also I think it makes it a bit more interesting to watch too.
Yeah.
Like it's you know, it's just exciting. It's dynamic, you know. I know with I've been trying to get into Superleague, and even like the qualifiers, they're quite crit orientated cycling courses, which is amazing. Yeah, it's great fun.
That's such a great format, isn't it? They're fantastic to watch. Did you watch the indoor one that they put on?
I did. I did the arena games.
Yeah,
amazing.
It was really such a clever. I was listening to a podcast with the guy who created it, and it's such a clever idea in these times. It was just so well thought out and such a great spectator sport.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, they're a real big asset to the sport, and you know, you sort of look at how they operated it as well. There's something like they ended up recording it across like 4 different countries or something. So you had like the commentators in London, you had like the switchboard in like somewhere else, and then it was amazing. Yeah,
it was really good. So you did Lausanne. How did that go?
It went alright. I ended up placing third. I think in my age group, which was good. It was a really good race, but again the bike leg heavily sort of let me down. You know, I came out the water in first with I think a Swiss bloke who sort of sat on my legs the whole way. I didn't manage to break away from him, but like, you know, in the swim you're never going to win a race in the swim anyway. So it's good to have him with me to work together. And we spent sort of like most of the cycling course doing true enough. I think him and a German bloke, they dropped me on the bike. So they took first, second. I think it's German, Swiss, then myself.
Right.
And I was basically just I sort of popped on the bike, which is it just sort of really highlights the fact that that's the area that I need to focus on, which is
plenty of time.
No, exactly.
And fantastic to get a podium on your first event for you know.
GB, thank you very much. I was very proud. It was a really good experience. It was a really good day, and especially going and being able to watch the pros and everything.
I mean really cool. That's the great thing about those events, isn't it? Because you can do your race and watch everybody else, and then you can go and watch the pros. You know, that's just there's not many. I've said this before. There's not many other sports that you can actually do that.
Oh no, absolutely. No, it was amazing. Like, and also the layout of the race out there too was just great. Like, you know, you're racing around the city centre, and it's awesome.
So, had you qualified for anything for this year?
Well, no. I mean, we're not sort of in the age group carry on with it because I definitely want to go back to Worlds at some point and try and get a first if I can.
Yeah.
But it depends. Like, those other two guys were quite strong, so I don't know. But I'm trying to sort of focus on getting to the Super League qualifiers. I've got a place in the qualifying series. Now it's just a case of getting a sort of the top three there at one of the qualifiers, and then you get a contract.
So can you just explain again how that works? So what have you got to do to get into the Super League qualifiers?
All right. So initially you apply just like you would any races, and anybody can do it. You know, you apply through the Super League website, and then you give your credentials. You give some races that you've done well at.
Yeah.
So for myself, it was, I think, one of the main ones I put up was the West Asian Championships.
Mm-hmm.
Was my result, because that actually got me ITU points. So I registered under that one, and then kind of went to my first race, which I think was my first qualifying race I went to was in Poland. So it was the first race, and that amazing race. It was really good. I managed to do okay. After that, I spoke to Maka, and he said that you should definitely try and go across to the Canadian race. So raced in Canada and ended up winning two of the stages. They weren't important stages, but it was like across 2 days in Canada. So the first day was I think it was a 3 triathlons back to back. Last athlete gets cut. And I ended up just getting in the mosh pit in the swim. So I was kind of fighting from the back of the race the whole time, and eventually got cut just before the last triathlon took place. So the next day I knew I was out of contention for the points, so just went back and tried to sort of cane it, because they said there might be like prize. They said there might be, but they didn't say for sure. They said there might be prize money for each stage. So I was like, okay, in that case, then I'm going to try and take the first 2 stages, which aren't important. So literally just minimal work on the bike, and then just floored it on the 1500 meter run. And then after that, they were like, okay, you've got some wheels on them. So then they'll sort of, if you prove yourself in the qualifiers, then they'll sort of say that you can come back and race some more qualifiers if you want. But it's definitely getting more competitive, because a lot more people are going towards Super League, and I don't blame them.
So how many of those races are there then? Because that's not something that I've ever obviously looked at. I didn't even know much about, to be honest. I thought it was just for the professionals. No.
So well, it's interesting because anybody can. Most people can sort of like apply for the pro entry. It does help if you've had some like international races where you've done well at, or you've done well at like some higher like caliber races. I think you're more likely to get entry. But it's a case of if they take a liking to you, then they'll let you into the qualifiers.
Cool.
Definitely, like if you're like one of the top dogs, you're just gonna get a place. But it's like my housemate Ollie. He's from Jersey, and he went to the qualifiers and got like a top 3, and it was invited to race Super League, and he's done very well throughout that. And he isn't like he's a very, very good athlete, but he's not quite at like Kristen Blumenfeld like level yet. But he's still racing with all the big blokes on the circuit, and he's holding his own as well. It's really, really impressive.
Well, it goes back to that. You're surrounded by those people. It's going to rub off, isn't it? You know what I mean? It just
100%.
is.
Yeah, there's this really cool saying where it's like you're the average of the 4 closest people you surround yourself by. That's why you should always surround yourself by like the people that you aspire to be like, or people you want to be more like. I mean, if you put yourself around sort of like 4 people, 4 of your closest people that you're not really. Well, I don't know. They might have like a negative influence on your life, and that's always going to rub off on you, and vice versa.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, any advice? I mean, in your short career, any advice you would give out to anybody starting off, or anybody who wants to try and qualify? And I normally just say for GB, but now I'm going to say anybody who wants to qualify for GB or Super League.
100%. Yeah, no, definitely. Anybody who's looking to qualify for anything, like, is just to enjoy it, to have the passion for it. First of all, I wouldn't say that I have a very particular passion for like sort of triathlon specific. It's more just like the love of the sport that like make it up. There's like I think it's in the Brownlee's book where it's you don't want to be a triathlete, you want to be you know, if you can hold your own on them, but you're only ever going to hold their own if you actually take enjoyment from it. So if you enjoy just going out for like, you know, a run when you feel like it, just go out for a run when you feel like it, you know. There's, you know, traditional fartlek, like rather than speed play, is sort of sprinting when you feel like it and walking when you feel like it. I think it's very easy to get wrapped up in structure and formalities and everything. Like if you can find a way of loving the sport, then, you know, send it however you want to, and don't necessarily be concerned with what other people are doing. Because I know that there was like, you can sometimes get wrapped up in negative sort of sides of the sport, whereas if you just stick with what you enjoy or everything, you're going to get there, kind of thing. So,
fantastic. Great.
So,
next question is your favourite bit of kit.
Okay. Well, it'd be rude not to say like my bike. You know, I can't claim to be a crazy cyclist, but I'm a massive fan of the bike that I've been granted to ride on for the moment. I'm with a bike brand called Heroin. Okay. They like make sort of custom bike molds. Well, they make custom bikes from France. Just a big fan of it. Like
nice. Cool. Good. What gear has that got on it?
So at the moment, it's got a mixture of all sort of things. So it's got like it's got a mixture of Di2 on it, and you know, which is cool. It's the first time I've ever gone sort of Di2. I was SRAM Red double tap before that on my old bike. Started off on a Bourbon 9.8 Air, or I didn't start off on, but that's the bike that I came from. And then, you know, it's different. It's got the zip dimples all over the frame, rather than just on the wheels, which is different. But,
cool. Very nice. You'll have to send me a picture of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll send it to you over Instagram. It's different. It's very cool.
Yeah, nice one. Excellent. Looking forward, obviously with things that are going on at the moment, and everything seems to be locking back down again. All being equal, if we get through the winter and it isn't so bad, and we can start getting back to a bit of normality, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Well, I mean, short term would definitely be able to just be able to race this summer would be a short term goal. I mean, I don't know whether it's realistic, but to be able to race some of the Superleague qualifiers would be really cool. Long term goal would to be able to make sport make sport sort of have the ability to earn money and live off of sport. Would definitely be a long term thing, but as long as I keep enjoying it, that's nothing. You know, it's not an end all and be all kind of thing.
So you're pretty relaxed about it all.
Yeah, you know, it'll be what it'll be, you know, kind of thing. It's like you can only try your hardest and enjoy it whilst you do it. You know?
And I think that's a great attitude to have, just to be, you know, whatever it'll be, and you put the work in and be in the right place at the right time, and you know, hopefully things will come off and go right and go your way. So be great.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, no, and it can be said for like everybody, you know, anybody in the sport. You know, if you sort of get too wrapped up in wanting to be at a certain place, then you're not going to enjoy it. All you can do is sort of go out there and like just try hardest every day. And you know, and when it comes to race day, I almost use it as I'm riddled with dyslexia, so I'm not very good at academics through school. And I always sort of like use sport to kind of help myself in the sense of like taking an exam is you shouldn't ever be stressed out by taking an exam. An exam is a chance to show off the work that you've done, and it doesn't matter how much sort of work you've done. You're just sort of showing off, you know. And I think the same should be said for like when you're racing. You know, you shouldn't get stressed out about it. You should enjoy it, because you say like, look, this is all the work I've done in the dark. Like, now's my time to go out and have fun and kind of show off in the light and just enjoy it. It doesn't matter where you are in the pack, as long as sort of you cross the line and you're happy about your own achievement.
That's fantastic. Fantastic advice, and a great way of looking at things. So, and also, when do you finish university? How many years have you got left?
Yeah, so well, I finished. I finished this summer, just gone.
All right,
which is kind of weird, because I mean, I finished my education in Bahrain
Right. So what leg of the armed forces are you going into?
Just the advanced infantry. So
Right.
just as a as a recruit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just to see what it's like. I think the military is a good place for sort of if you want to try and keep sort of succeeding at sport, or just keep wanting to do sport. Yeah. As well as other stuff. The military just seems like a good option potentially.
Excellent. Well, good luck with everything. I'm going to follow you as I started following all the AMP guests that we've had on, and we'll keep in touch. Yeah. And thanks for coming on. It's a great place to end it. So, thank you.
No, exactly. Thank you so much for having me. So I really appreciate it.
So once again, Jamie Price, a young man with an old head on his young shoulders, and constantly learning on this show. Who knew that you could apply just to go on the Superleague? So any young up and coming triathletes, duathletes, I guess it's a triathlete because there's always a swim in there. Get on the website and have a look, and if you think you're good enough, have a look and see if you can enter. And you might be racing the likes of Mario Mola and one of the Brownlees, or it's a totally different world. So, but good luck to Jamie with that, and I hope he's successful with that and whatever ventures he takes forward in the future. Fantastic! Another great chat, another great age grouper, another great multi-sporter, and you guys never disappoint. We're always learning, and the stories are always really good, no matter what age you are, and really enjoy myself. So, and it's a pleasure to meet you all. And that's it for this show. So, just if you'd like to catch up with us, you can drop us an email at agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com, and you can catch us on Instagram, AMP1967. Catch us up on Facebook at AmpGB. Our website is agegroupmultisportpodcast.buzzsprout.com. Rate us and subscribe. I think it's mainly on Apple Podcast. Don't think Spotify or any of the other platforms you can actually do anything, write a review, but you could always go along, whatever platform that you listen to, you could always go along and write us a review on there, or even on Instagram, write us a review on Instagram and just let us know how you're getting on and whether you're liking the show, if there's any tweaks we could do, anything we can do to improve it. But thanks again for listening, and remember, stay safe, keep training, and love the